Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today, I get to be one of the very first people to show you a production copy of Vagrantsong. You see, Shira and I just got back from Gencon, and this is one of the many games we decided to bring back with us. This one is striking a few notes that I am super excited about. Now, I haven't had a chance to play it or dive into it. I have had a chance to see a preview and prototype of it in person, and you're going to want to stay tuned for this unboxing video. Vagrantsong is a game that sort of operates as a story-driven dungeon crawl in a lot of ways, with really cool custom character abilities, an interesting and captivating narrative, and that old-school 1920s style that, for me, is oh so sweet. It's the first game in this genre that I've seen come to ruminate or rumiate on that townsfolk tussle style, which I love so much, or the Cuphead style, which is just iconic, right? This is going to be a game that is coming out of Weird Games and is designed by, if I can find the designer here, I don't see the designer. Either way, coming out of Weird Games. We'll look in the rulebook for that as well. Let me go ahead and cut a seam here and start opening it up. Like always, I'll cut a seam and then I'll be respectfully quiet. Alright, after a little bit of saran wrap, let's dive into this. Now, of course, I know enough about this game to talk loosely about how the mechanics work as we pull it out. We'll be doing more coverage on this, so if this compels your interest, hit that subscribe button down below and stay tuned. There's a little bit of flavor text up here that I want to dive in, and then I'm going to save the flavor text reading till we get into the core function of the game. Haven't had a night's rest since you don't know when. There's a whistling from a train a-comin' round the bend. Out from the darkness, its Haint blue light descends. Hop on board as it passes by. It'll be your bitter end. So in this game, you're riding the rails of a train, going through different crypts and dark roads, and following that lantern light of the conductor as you pass through, as you pass by. See if we can get that cover to stay there. It'll fall sooner or later, but for now, it's there. We have a hefty little rulebook here, which isn't going to deal just with the rules. The actual rules are going to be the first section, and then we're going to swing into hardcore examples, flavor text around the characters, and of course, one of the most interesting parts is going to be various different moments and encounters. You see there's going to be these stages throughout the game where you sort of stumble into things and you're resolving what those are as you play. I think there's a total of 100-something, 86 with some variations on A and B options as you play through, and a tracking board here to see what you've actually found, from Tunnel Vision, Snowblind, Bone Orchard. These are the locations you travel through, to the total milepost, banked coins, and other sort of selective items that you've collected along the way. Let's go ahead and find the lead designer and writer is going to be Kyle Rowan. Game design is going to be Matt Carter and Justin Gibbs. Very cool. So, let's go ahead and start swinging into this, and I want to find a little bit of flavor text to read right off the bat. Let's read about the songsmith. The bright lights of the big city have tugged on the songsmith's strings since childhood. He's dreamed of performing on those grand stages, pouring out of the music in his heart for all to hear. Or, Runaway. Accompanied by her loyal pup, the runaway has fled home in search of a new adventure. She's eager to see the world, but is definitely a little intimidating. Or it would be without her shaggy friend. So, we have a little bit of flavor text on each character, setting up the Vagrant cards, setting up the different scenarios. Let's go ahead and continue diving in. Vagrantsong. What's all this stuff? I like this. I like that there's something here explaining to me what all this stuff is. In the box, there's some extra humanity hearts and bases, just in case you lose some during the chaos of the game. Reasonable. Games can be chaotic. The acrylic standees and bases also have protective film on each side. Remove them to make the character art pop, and it really will pop. Love the game? Let us know. Facebook, Twitter, social links, resources. Head over to Vagrantsong at weirdgames.net, and if something's wrong, you can reach out to them. Customer service is fantastic. So here we're going to have various little map icons and locations that have artwork on the background, because these are going to be encounters that you can stumble across that have various different consequences on the front side. We have all of our little tokens resource markers, tracks, everything that you need to run and operate the game. Now, I'm not going to punch everything right now. I do have to say the cardboard feels nice. I'll do a simple punch. It punches clean. It's about your basic board game cardboard. It isn't overly thick, doesn't have kind of a film on it or anything, but it does feel like it'll hold up very nicely. Here we have the actual train and conductor board. So this is going to be where the entire game is ran. And looks a little abstract here, but once you start realizing that this is train cars swimming down this line here, and you start building it out with character standees and other things that you're encountering, everything sort of starts to come alive. We have... Oh, come here. Come here. Of course, the scenario book here would be the hardest thing for me to get out, because it's the most important thing in the entire box. This is what we're here for. This is what we're all here for. Scenarios and story. And don't worry, we'll read Chapter 1 right after I finish pulling out a few of these other components. In here, we have the characters that we can play as are in cardstock, and each of these are going to be our character boards as well. So this is actually not cardstock. This is a vinyl, almost a wet erase type of material, which is very nice. So we have the Curse Bearer, the Empress, the Revivalist, the Runaway, the Songsmith, who I'm going to play as, and the Wayfarer, which is an adorable little old man with a cockatoo or a bird, maybe a pigeon, on his shoulder. Now, all of these are going to have their stats, their health, their ability to upgrade skills, junk that they're carrying with them, their general movement and kind of interact icons, and then on the back of them, we have, well, let's just say a cryptid side of all of these characters. If they fall into an additional realm, well, not all trains lead, well, to the living. That's what I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. Yeah, you're going to be transported between those two realms as you play through the game. We have a bandana style, little pull string bag here, which is going to generate some random resources and tokens. We have, I think these are our big scenario cards and maybe some player aid cards. So also, made out of that same plasticky material, which I actually like. It means you don't have to sleeve them, and they'll sustain and hold up from many a play. So, Rummage Tokens. So these are going to go through everything that you have. You have Iron Nails, Candle, Salt, Rabbit's Foot, Apple, Breaking a Haint. You have General Actions, which is Move, Investigate, Rummage, Patch Up, and Bust. Haint Target Priority, which is going to be how the creatures, the AI, works. And here we have a stack of cards that I'm not going to read through because I don't know what order I'm supposed to deal with them in. We're going to leave this over here. We're not going to touch it for now. Acrylic standees. So, the game pieces and components in this game are going to be absolutely beautiful. First off, nice little standees. Plenty of them, by the way, for all of the enemies and creatures that we're fighting. And they decided to go with acrylic full art standee pieces. Now, like they said, there's a protective film on the front of each of these. So I'll pull this halfway off and then kind of show you the difference here. But that film will come off, making the artwork just absolutely pop. It is nice, high quality print, and these are going to be super easy because this is the simple, accessible style of acrylic standees that just pop into the base and operate just like that. So, nice solid lock, squeezes in there, and you can move them around the board. Now, there's a ton of super cool characters, artwork, tokens that I really don't want to dig into too much because I don't quite want to know what I'm fighting. But you can kind of see them all painted against this here. I'm sure we have some B-roll of a lot of this as well. Adorable little puppy. We have all of our little ghostly figures as well. We have a flock of ravens, which Shira would absolutely love. Very cool. Okay, continue diving in here. We have some helpful little crystals and gems, which are going to keep you alive. These are actually heart-shaped gems, which I really appreciate. Some classic dice, which, I'm going to be honest, in a train-based game, you're just giving me some classic little off-white D6. I think that's appropriate. That is what you'd be playing with. And then all of our gear and item cards. And I don't think there's anything underneath this insert, but the insert is highly appreciated because it's going to keep everything sorted, which is, you know, what inserts are made to do. So, These are going to be all the things. I'm not going to open them all up. Like I said, I'll have B-roll of a lot of this. All these cards are going to be all the things that give you items, gear, special abilities. You're basically going to be able to like customize and build your character as you move along. They'll start with their own unique stats, but as the game progresses over the course of, I think, 12 chapters, you'll slowly develop your character alongside that. Now, I think there are some one-off scenarios as well. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's both a scenario book, like a story-driven scenario book, and also some one-off things as well. So there's locations we have here: Tunnel Vision, Snowblind, Bone Orchard, Shelter from the Storm. So you've made it to the part of the video where we're going to start diving into this. Oh, by the way, in each location, depending on the resources you have, what you've been able to utilize, what type of movement you have, you'll have consequences back and forth, right? If you have, you know, the apple or the salt or the candle, the light that you need, you'll be able to sort of deal with things in different ways, which is one of the unique things that they're doing here. Okay. Shelter from the Storm. You're just one from a handful of train hoppers trying to find shelter from the storm. You don't recognize any familiar faces, and come to think of it, you don't even remember seeing them hop on the train with you. But every one of them swears up and down that they just got here. And based on your own experience, you can't help but believe them. The strange thing is that everyone seems to be from a different part of town, or towns, places you never even heard of. After a few handshakes and how-do-you-dos, you all try to settle in the best you can, but without a hay bell or an old cushion calling your name, neither the train nor the situation brings you much comfort. The only thing you all have in common seems to be, well, the welcoming hand that helped each of you aboard. White glove, loose skin, couldn't forget it if you tried. You can't tell if it's a good or bad thing that Mr. Welcoming Hand appears to be missing. Either way, hopefully things stay nice and peaceful on this leg of the journey. That sinking feeling in your gut is telling you otherwise. Setup, of course, is going to be scripted. Special rules. There are no special rules for the scenario. Remember, losing humanity is different for both Haints and Vagrants. Terrain effects, no terrain. Haint effects, which will specify how the different creatures on the board are going to be interacting with you. The shakes and spooked. Breaks. When the turn face breaks, each Vagrant may rummage one. Remember, whenever a Haint breaks, the next turn a Haint would take is skipped, and all Vagrants gain one humanity. This effect is unique to the turned faces. And then victory, save the turned faces. Remember, to save the turned faces, give them back all of their lost humanity until they have no more breaks. So, that's what you're going to be struggling to do. These are the turned faces. Like I said, you can interact with them based off of the various types of resources you have, and you'll trigger different types of events based on that. And then we just continue going through this book. And I'm not going to read anything else, but I am just going to flip through a little bit for those of you that are curious and excited to see what we have here. Oh, there's so many events. There's so many consequences. So much. Cool. Cool. So, if you want to be stuck in a ghostly train, if you want to explore a bit of a dungeon crawl with a really, really beautiful art aesthetic and some aggressive confidence when it came to how they produced it, this is a game that we're going to be getting some gameplay to the channel here soon, hopefully, but also just one that we're excited to have on hand and excited to show off to you. Let me know in the comment section down below, is this one that you've been paying attention to, that you're excited for? Is this a game that you tried to get your hands on at Gencon and, like a lot of people, found it to already be completely sold out? And what would you like to see coverage of? A review, overview, how to play? Let me know in the comment section down below. And whatever you do, don't get on board the train.